stress, tell me about it, and many more could fall victim. Here to tell us more about the findings is CEO Paul Feeney. Welcome to the program. Good to have you.
Thanks.
So let's start off. What does the report actually show? It must be a little bit more than we're all a bit stressed.
Yeah, it basically looks at the incomings and outgoings of each household and the impact that rising interest rates has on them. And the last interest rate, another 0.5% by the RBA, actually took us from 1.7 million people to 1.85 million people under financial stress.
Okay, so what are the top Australian postcodes under the most mortgage stress, do you think? Have you guys got that data available as well?
Yeah, so the major ones are in Sydney and Melbourne.
Yep.
And you're basically looking at the southwest of Sydney and the northwest of Melbourne. And surprisingly, some of the data shows that more affluent places are also under financial stress. That's probably due to their ever-increasing high level of mortgage they have to undertake to buy properties in those places.
Yeah, absolutely. So can we expand on that a little bit further? Why you think some of Australia's most affluent suburbs are really feeling that financial stress, I suppose, more than others out there?
Yeah, it's a little counterintuitive, I suppose, but
Yeah.
a lot of these wealthier households, they tend to be a single income household, whereas a lot of Australian households are double income. And then also to get in those larger places, those larger, more affluent suburbs, they're having to take on a greater mortgage. So as a percentage of the outgoings for an increase in interest rate, it's a much longer dollar value, and there's less money coming into the household there as well. Um, but I think what we're going to find, however, is that people are starting to tighten their belts, and they need to be doing that to make sure they keep up the payments for their house as the interest rates keep on rising.
Absolutely. So, Paul, I'm going to ask you for a couple of top tips for Australians who might be under this financial pressure due to the mortgage stress that we're seeing right now. What can you run us through?
Yeah, look, first and foremost, it's pretty basic, but you've got to understand where your money's coming from and where you're spending it. Can you find anything extra along that way? But then also, if you do have extra savings, use a redraw or an offset account. That will help reduce the impact of interest rates. But also, don't be afraid to talk to your lender. The sooner you talk to them about it, the more likely they are to come to the table and give you a hand with some sort of relief over 3, 4, 5, or even 6 months. That may help you out of the hole that you may be in at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff from you. So if the RBA continues to hike rates, maybe even as much as by 1% by the end of the year, how many more Australians do you think will be facing mortgage stress based on what you've seen?
Yeah, well, from the data we've done, we've run those figures and we can see if another whole percent, so RBA goes from 1.85 to 2.85, that's going to tip us over 2 million Australian households under mortgage stress. There's only 3.8 million who've got a mortgage, and more than half of people with a home mortgage will start to feel the pinch. And they're going to have to pull their belts in, I suppose, somewhere else, which will then impact the wider economy as they try and keep up with their mortgage payment.
The popular one was to stop eating smashed avocado. Perhaps the daily coffee as well could be another one to pull your belt in. But Paul, thank you so much for joining me on the program to highlight a little bit more about this stress, this mortgage stress we're seeing across the country.
Great, thanks for having me.
All right, some